Hi all, Dr. A Strike here, Tuesday morning, getting ready to post the first video for this week on our Moodle website. A couple reminders, just because yesterday was a holiday, the videos are coming up a little bit later than normal, but they're going to be up very soon. So the first one's coming. There will be 3 videos altogether at minimum. I do want you to remember to go back and check the syllabus every week at the beginning of the week, because you'll see that I've added what activities you're going to be responsible for completing this week. Last week, you'll see here, you were supposed to read the syllabus and the 7 deadly sins, and then these were the assignments that you needed to do. They're all due by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday of that week, unless otherwise noted. So you were supposed to write a short paragraph. You were supposed to take the syllabus quiz. Most of you did that. You're supposed to join the WordPress site, and then you're also supposed to set up your WordPress avatar with an image of your real face and a short paragraph outlining your digital sends. One thing that I did not put here, and I would like to bring your attention to now, is that it should not only have your real face, it should have your real name. You have to remember that I don't know you, and I've never met you, and I have to be able to match your work that you do on the website with the grade that you're going to receive in this class. So somebody in our class put up their avatar, and excuse me, Woolly Joy Guy. Woolly Joy Guy, you look like a nice person. I don't know who you are. So if you could come back and change this to at least add your last name, so that I can attach your last name with the roster, or if you'd prefer to put your first name and just your last name initial, that would be a really big help. All right, so back here, you'll notice that I've added 3 new assignments. This is for this week. So what you're supposed to do first, before you watch these videos, before you answer any of these assignments, is read Digital Storytelling Chapter 1. It's like 15 pages. Very interesting information in there, examples to explain the concepts. And then also read all of Sanditon. I've got the link here, and I'll go to that in a minute. And then also this article by Fetterman. So anticipate that when you read Fetterman's article that it's going to be a bit confusing. Nevertheless, read it. It's very important. I'm going to keep stressing this over the course of the semester, that the lectures won't make a whole lot of sense unless you've already done the reading. And you should also expect to go back and review the reading. We give you difficult texts to read in college because the whole point of a college class is to push your limits of what you know, and to add information to your brain bank. So do make sure that you read these chapters before you watch the videos, and then refer back to them as you answer the 3 questions that are the 3 activities that I'm asking you to do. Okay? So each one of these activities, I will be putting a link under this week on our Moodle site for you to submit your work through there, and then I'll be grading it through that system. Okay? So let's see here. Let's turn our attention to digital storytelling, the first chapter. Again, before you listen to the rest of this video, if you haven't read it yet, push pause, go read the chapter, and come back. The lecture is not all. You do need to read the book. There will be examples in there. There'll be vocabulary words in there that you'll be expected to be familiar with. And do keep your eye out for all italicized words. Those are words that you might very well encounter on the midterm, and I might not discuss them here in the lecture. So if you read through the chapter, you see words that you don't know that are italicized, turn to the back of the book. There is a glossary in there. Let's see, it starts around page 495. And that glossary will be a big help for you as you're studying for the class itself, when you're trying to get through the readings, and then also when you're studying for the midterm and the final. So this jargon is important. Jargon is just a fancy word for or is a technical term for the fancy words that are attached to each discipline. And so in new media theory, we have our own words that we use, and some of them you're not going to be familiar with. So do make sure you look them up, as opposed to just wandering around with a hunch and a good wish about hoping that you do know what it means. Okay? So if we turn to chapter 1, you're going to see that this chapter, basically what it does is it tries to focus on explaining the history of digital storytelling and attaching it to older types of storytelling. Oral storytelling, which is stories that are told verbally, that were never written down, that were done before we had writing. There wasn't actually uniform writing until, let's see, 3000 BC was when we came up with cuneiform. And then it wasn't until around 400 BC that humans started writing in what we would call modern languages, specifically Greek. And so, there was a time period where stories, the only way that they could be told for millions and millions of years before we started writing was to memorize them and tell them orally. And there's connections between orally told stories, written stories, print, mass manufactured stories, and then digital storytelling. So this chapter kind of tries to show us where digital storytelling fits in on the trajectory of this. And this is important because, again, I want to stress this over and over again. English 231 is the only required course in the new media minor. And the reason for that is because storytelling is forever. Literature is something that we just do. Humans will never give it up. We like to tell stories about each other. Technology changes, right? 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if you went to college, nobody would be asking you about digital storytelling because it didn't yet exist. But now we have digital storytelling. And in another 40 years, we might be talking about something completely different. And so we want to keep looking at what's universal about our lives and how we interact with technology, whether the technology is digital or analog. And we're going to be talking about those definitions here in a minute. You'll notice that on page 3, first page of the chapter, what Williams points out is that something that is a unique hallmark of digital storytelling is interactivity. And I'm going to show you a screen here of a digital story that we're going to be participating in later on in the semester. It's called Welcome to Sanditon. This is part of the web series section of it. But what I want you to pay attention to right now, and I'm going to give you an example of what interactivity looks like here, is that interactivity doesn't always mean that you're like playing a game that you're actually interactive in. It also can be just as simple as things that we do every day. We can like a video, or we can just view it, and then it gets recorded that we viewed this video. Then we can interact with it. We can like it. This particular video has 3,394 likes, or we could dislike it, 26 likes. This creates the story, right? I'm sure many of you right now are starting to think differently about this video now that I've called your attention to this. How many likes, whether or not you think this is a good number or a low number, whether or not you think this is a low number or excessive, is going to impact how you receive this video. You can also go down and you can make comments, correct? You can make comments on this, and then again, these comments will become part of the story. It's not something that the authors and the directors of this video series anticipated, but Jazz Yeah and Maria Liavano and North Fan 42, Kristen Elise, their interactions, their comments are going to, again, impact the way that we perceive this story. And that's really important. Also, you can see here, how many replies people have. So the interaction creates threads that continues the story. Now, this is a digitized form of a story. You can tell that there's a definition for digitized and analog in the back of your textbook, as well as on page 4. But you can also tell, I think this is a good way to think about the difference between digitized and analog. Oops, sorry. I need to turn off my notifications. Is that a digital form, as it says in the textbook, is made up of distinct separate bits, the ones and the zeros, the things that, confuse many people out there that don't understand exactly how computers work. But something I think is easier to grasp is that this is virtual, correct? Like, this doesn't really exist other than within a computer somewhere. Versus analog, here we have an image of a book. You can see that this is a physical copy, right? Like, you can pick this book up and you can carry it around with you. You can put it in your backpack. You can hand it to a friend. And it exists outside of a computer. Whereas this video, well, here, maybe this is a better example. This video of the book is not tangible. Sure, I can email it to you, or you can look at it right now, you can see it. But if you were going to pick up this video, you would have to pick up the whole computer. Like, you can't actually pick up this video. So it's digital. It resides in the online format on the computer. It's not physically available to you. We're also going to be getting into linear versus nonlinear here in a little bit, and we'll be returning to this image. As you go forward in the chapter, you'll notice that there's lots of examples of different kinds of storytelling that has gone on over the history of Western civilization and global civilization. And I want you to read through these. Again, these examples will help to make this information that you're reading about not only make sense, but it'll help to give it significance. And you're going to start to see in this text how I'm going to be expecting you to talk about the different kinds of digital storytelling, kind of specific examples you need to give when you're writing about these texts. So do read through this carefully. And I'm going to skip forward a couple of pages to page 9. And you'll see that there's an example on page 9 of how interactive storytelling can even happen in real life. And I particularly like this example because it's about a Seder dinner, which is a dinner that's celebrated within the Jewish faith. And you can see that the author, Miller, is bringing our attention to how even in real life storytelling, that in order for a story to make sense, you have to have knowledge of the history of why this particular symbols within the story are significant, and then also to think about the imagery, because we have to, as we're reading through a novel or watching a video, be on the look for things that are symbolic. There are different kinds of symbols out there, but I'm going to just touch on some obvious ones here in the beginning. Like the symbol of the red rose. A red rose symbolizes what? I can hear all of you in your dorm rooms and apartments right now saying love, romance, Valentine's Day. We understand that because we have a shared cultural history. Also, imagery is important. Imagery, basically, when you think of imagery, I want you to think of anything that one experiences with their sight, their smell, their sense of taste, touch, or hearing. And one good thing about digital storytelling is that it's very obvious what's going on visually. You can see that there's a lot of action, usually. We also, something that digital storytelling has over analog traditional books is that you can hear. There's a lot of sensory stimulation of the ears. We can't usually taste or smell things, though, right? And also we can't really touch them because all we can touch is the computer screen. But nevertheless, we have associations with what we're seeing that lend some extra depth to it. So if I tell you that we're going to watch a video of somebody sitting here on this, what is this nice velour chair, right? You should be able to recognize that this not only is a soft fabric, but that this is symbolic within this particular shot of being in a comfortable place, relaxing when you're reading. And so things that we do on an everyday basis also have stories like that involved in them, even in real life. And you're going to be asked for this assignment to provide an example of a story where you have in real life participated in a ritual that has significant symbolism and imagery in it. I'm thinking right now of Christmas, since we just passed the holiday season and I celebrate Christmas. And the Christmas tree symbolizes life everlasting, right? The stars on the trees symbolize the wise men going to find Jesus in the cradle. The candles symbolize the light and rebirth. And so think about a situation in your life where you've participated in real life storytelling.